Book 14. Chapter 1. How Sir Percivale came to a recluse and asked counsel, and how she told him that she was his aunt. Now saith the tale, that when Sir Lancelot was ridden after Sir Galahad, the which at all these adventures above said, Sir Percivale turned again unto the recluse, where he deemed to have tidings of that knight that Lancelot followed. And so he kneeled at a window, and the recluse opened it and asked Sir Percivale what he would. Madam, he said, I am a knight of King Arthur's court, and my name is Sir Percivale de Gales. When the recluse heard his name, she had great joy of him, for mickle she had loved him tofore any other knight, for she ought to do so, for she was his aunt. And then she commanded the gates to be opened, and there he had all the cheer that she might make him, and all that was in her power was at his commandment. So on the morn Sir Percivale went to the recluse, and asked her if she knew that knight with the white shield. Sir, said she, why would ye wit? Truly, madam, said Sir Percivale, I shall never be well at ease till that I know of that knight's fellowship, and that I may fight with him, for I may not leave him so lightly, for I have the shame yet. Ah, Percivale, said she, would ye fight with him? I see well ye have great will to be slain as your father was, through outrageousness. Madam, said Sir Percivale, it seemeth by your words that ye know me. Yea, said she, I well ought to know you, for I am your aunt, although I be in a priory place. For some called me sometime the queen of the wastelands, and I was called the queen of most riches in the world. And it pleased me never my riches so much as doth my poverty. Then Sir Percivale wept for very pity when that he knew it was his aunt. Ah, fair nephew, said she, when heard ye tidings of your mother? Truly, said he, I heard none of her, but I dream of her much in my sleep, and therefore I wot not whether she be dead or alive. Certes, fair nephew, said she, your mother is dead, for after your departing from her she took such a sorrow that anon, after she was confessed, she died. Now, God have mercy on her soul, said Sir Percivale, it so forthinketh me, but oh, we must change the life. Now, fair aunt, tell me what is a knight? I deem it be he that bear the red arms on Whitsunday. Wit you well, said she, that this is he, for otherwise ought he not to do, but to go in red arms, and that same knight hath no peer, for he worketh all by miracle, and he shall never be overcome of none earthly man's hand. Chapter 2. How Merlin likened the Round Table to the world, and how the knights that should achieve the sangreal should be known. Also Merlin made the Round Table in tokening of roundness of the world, for by the Round Table is the world signified by right, for all the world, Christian and heathen, repair unto the Round Table. And when they are chosen to be of the fellowship of the Round Table, they think them more blessed and more in worship than if they had gotten half the world. And ye have seen that they have lost their fathers and their mothers, and all their kin, and their wives and their children. For to be of your fellowship, it is well seen by you. For since ye have departed from your mother, ye would never see her. Ye found such fellowship at the Round Table. When Merlin had ordained the Round Table, he said, by them which should be fellows of the Round Table, the truth of the sangreal should be well known. And men asked him how men might know them that should best do and to enchieve the sangreal. Then he said there should be 3 white bulls that should enchieve it, and the 2 should be maidens, and the 3rd should be chaste. And that one of the 3 should pass his father as much as the lion passeth the leopard, both of strength and hardiness. They that heard Merlin say, so said thus unto Merlin, Sit hen there shall be such a knight. Thou shouldest ordain by thy craft a siege, that no man should sit in it but he all only that shall pass all other knights. Then Merlin answered that he would do so. And then he made the siege perilous, in the which Galahad set in at his meat on Whitsunday last past. Now, madam, said Sir Percivale, so much have I heard of you that by my good will I will never have ado with Sir Galahad but by way of kindness. And for God's love, fair aunt, can ye teach me some way where I may find him? For much would I love the fellowship of him. Fair nephew, said she, ye must ride unto a castle the which is called Guther, where ye the cousin Germain, and there may ye be lodged this night. And as he teacheth you, sheweth after as fast as he can, and if he can tell you no tidings of him, ride straight unto the castle of Carbonek, where the maimed king is there lying, for there shall ye hear true tidings of him. Chapter 3. How Sir Percivale came into a monastery, where he found King Evelake, which was an old man. Then departed Sir Percivale from his aunt, either making great sorrow. And so he rode till evensong time. And then he heard a clock smite, and then he was ware of an house closed well with walls and deep ditches. And there he knocked at a gate and was let in, and he alighted and was led unto a chamber, and soon he was unarmed. And they had right good cheer all that night. And on the morn he heard his mass, and in the monastery he found a priest ready at the altar. And on the right side he saw a pew closed with iron, and behind the altar he saw a rich bed and a fair, as of cloth of silk and gold. Then Sir Percivale espied that therein was a man or woman, for the visage was covered. Then he left off his looking and heard his service. And when it came to the sacring, he that lay within that parclos dressed him up, and uncovered his head. And then him beseemed a passing old man, and he had a crown of gold upon his head, and his shoulders were naked and unhealed under his navel. And then Sir Percivale espied his body was full of great wounds, both on the shoulders, arms, and visage. And ever he held up his hands against our Lord's body, and cried, Fay, sweet Father, Jesu Christ, forget not me. And so he lay down, but always he was in his prayers and orisons, and him seemed to be of the age of 300 winter. And when the mass was done, the priest took our Lord's body and bare it to the sick king. And when he had used it, he did off his crown, and commanded the crown to be set on the altar. Then Sir Percivale asked one of the brethren what he was. Sir, said the good man, ye have heard much of Joseph of Arimathea, how he was sent by Jesu Christ into this land for to teach and preach the holy Christian faith. And therefore he suffered many persecutions, which the enemies of Christ did unto him. And in the city of Sorrows he converted a king whose name was Evelake. And so this king came with Joseph into this land, and ever he was busy to be there as the sangreal was. And on a time he nighed it so nigh that our Lord was displeased with him, but ever he followed it more and more, till God struck him almost blind. Then this king cried mercy, and said, Fair Lord, let me never die till the good knight of my blood of the 9th degree be come, that I may see him openly that he shall achieve the sangreal, that I may kiss him. Chapter 4. How Sir Percivale saw many men of arms bearing a dead knight, and how he fought against them. When the king thus had made his prayers, he heard a voice that said, Heard be thy prayers, for thou shalt not die till he have kissed thee. And when that night shall come, the clearness of your eyes shall come again, and thou shalt see openly, and thy wounds shall be healed, and erst shall they never close. And this befell of King Evelake, and this same king had lived this 300 winters his holy life. And men say the knight is in the court that shall heal him. Sir, said the good man, I pray you tell me what knight that ye be, and if ye be of King Arthur's court and of the Table Round. Yea, forsooth, said he, and my name is Sir Percivale de Gales. And when the good man understood his name, he made great joy of him. And then Sir Percivale departed and rode till the hour of noon. And he met in a valley about 20 men of arms, which bare in a bier a knight deadly slain. And when they saw Sir Percivale, they asked him of whence he was. And he answered, Of the court of King Arthur. Then they cried all at once, Slay him. Then Sir Percivale smote the first of the earth and his horse upon him. And then 7 of the knights smote upon his shield all at once. And the remnant slew his horse so that he fell to the earth. So had they slain him or taken him, had not the good knight, Sir Galahad, with the red arms come there by adventure into those parts. And when he saw all those knights upon one knight, he cried, Save me that knight's life. And then he dressed him toward the 20 men of arms as fast as his horse might drive, with his spear in the rest, and smote the foremost horse and man to the earth. And when his spear was broken, he set his hand to his sword, and smote on the right hand and on the left hand, that it was marvel to see. And at every stroke he smote one down or put him to a rebuke, so that they would fight no more but fled to a thick forest. And Sir Galahad followed them. And when Sir Percivale saw him chase them so, he made great sorrow that his horse was away. And then he wist well it was Sir Galahad. And then he cried aloud, Ah, fair knight, abide and suffer me to do thankings unto thee, for much have ye done for me. But ever Sir Galahad rode so fast that at the last he passed out of his sight. And as fast as Sir Percivale might, he went after him on foot, crying. And then he met with a yeoman riding upon an hackney, the which led in his hand a great steed blacker than any bay. Ah, fair friend, said Sir Percivale, as ever I may do for you, and to be your true knight in the first place ye will require me, that ye will lend me that black steed, that I might overtake a knight the which readeth afore me. Sir knight, said the yeoman, I pray you hold me excuse of that, for that I may not do. For wit ye well, the horse is such a man's horse, that an I lend it you or any man, that he would slay me. Alas, said Sir Percivale, I had never so great sorrow as I have had for losing of yonder knight. Sir, said the yeoman, I am right heavy for you, for a good horse would beseem you well, but I dare not deliver you this horse but if ye would take him from me. That will I not do, said Sir Percivale. And so they departed, and Sir Percivale set him down under a tree, and made sorrow out of measure. And as he was there came a knight riding on the horse that the yeoman led, and he was clean armed. Chapter 5. How a yeoman desired him to get again an horse, and how Sir Percivale's hackney was slain, and how he get an horse. And anon the yeoman came pricking after as fast as ever he might, and asked Sir Percivale if he saw any knight riding on his black steed. Yea, sir, forsooth, said he. Why, sir, ask ye me that? Aye, sir, that steed he had beknown me with strength. Wherefore my lord will slay me in what place he findeth me. Well, said Sir Percivale, what wouldst thou that I did? Thou sayest well that I am on foot, but an I had a good horse I should bring him soon again. Sir, said the yeoman, take mine hackney and do the best he can, and I shall show you on foot to wit how that ye shall speed. Then Sir Percivale alighted upon that hackney, and rode as fast as he might, and at the last he saw that knight. And then he cried, Knight, turn again. And he turned and set his spear against Sir Percivale, and he smote the hackney in the midst of the breast that he fell down dead to the earth. And they had a great fall, and the other rode his way. And then Sir Percivale was woodwroth, and cried, Abide, wicked knight, coward and false-hearted knight, turn again and fight with me on foot. But he answered not, but passed on his way. When Sir Percivale saw he would not turn, he cast away his helm and sword, and said, Now am I a very wretch, cursed and most unhappy above all other knights. So in this sorrow he abode all that day till it was night. And then he was faint, and laid him down, and slept till it was midnight. And then he awaked, and saw afore him a woman which said unto him right fiercely, Sir Percivale, what dost thou here? He answered, I do neither good nor great ill. If thou wilt ensure me, said she, that thou wilt fulfill my will when I summon thee, I shall lend thee mine own horse which shall bear thee whither thou wilt. Sir Percivale was glad of a proffer, and ensured her to fulfill all her desire. Then abide me here, and I shall go and fetch you an horse. And so she came soon again, and brought an horse with her that was inly black. When Percivale beheld that horse, he marvelled that it was so great and so well apparelled, and not for then he was so hardy, and he leapt upon him, and took none heed of himself. And so anon as he was upon him, he thrust to him with his spurs, and so he rode by a forest, and the moon shone clear. And within an hour and less he bare him 4 days' journey thence, until he came to a rough water the which roared, and his horse would have borne him into it. Chapter 6. Of the great danger that Sir Percivale was in by his horse, and how he saw a serpent and a lion fight. And when Sir Percivale came nigh the brim, and saw the water so boisterous, he doubted to overpass it. And then he made a sign of the cross in his forehead. When the fiend felt him so charged, he shook off Sir Percivale, and he went into the water crying and roaring, making great sorrow, and it seemed unto him that the water brent. Then Sir Percivale perceived it was a fiend, the which would have brought him unto his perdition. Then he commended himself unto God, and prayed our Lord to keep him from all such temptations. And so he prayed all that night till on the morn that it was day. Then he saw that he was in a wild mountain, the which was closed with the sea nigh all about, that he might see no land about him which might relieve him, but wild beasts. And then he went into a valley, and there he saw a young serpent bring a young lion by the neck, and so he came by Sir Percivale. With that came a great lion crying and roaring after the serpent. And as fast as Sir Percivale saw this he marvelled, and hied him thither. But anon the lion had overtaken the serpent and began battle with him. And then Sir Percivale thought to help the lion, for he was a more natural beast of the two. And therewith he drew his sword, and set his shield afore him, and there he gave the serpent such a buffet that he had a deadly wound. When the lion saw that, he made no resemblance to fight with him, but made him all the cheer that a beast might make a man. Then Percivale perceived that, and cast down his shield which was broken, and then he did off his helm for to gather wind, for he was greatly enchafed with the serpent. And the lion went alway about him fawning as a spaniel. And then he stroked him on the neck and on the shoulders. And then he thanked God of the fellowship of that beast. And about noon the lion took his little whelp, and trussed him and bare him there he came from. Then was Sir Percivale alone, and as the tale telleth, he was one of the men of the world at that time which most believed in our Lord Jesus Christ. For in those days there were but few folks that believed in God perfectly. For in those days the son spared not the father no more than a stranger. And so Sir Percivale comforted himself in our Lord Jesu, and besought God no temptation should bring him out of God's service, but to endure as his true champion. Thus when Sir Percivale had prayed, he saw the lion come toward him, and then he couched down at his feet. And so all that night the lion and he slept together. And when Sir Percivale slept, he dreamed a marvelous dream, that there two ladies met with him, and that one sat upon a lion, and that other sat upon a serpent, and that one of them was young, and the other was old, and the youngest in thought said, Sir Percivale, my lord saluteth thee, and sendeth thee word that thou array thee and make thee ready. For tomorrow thou must fight with the strongest champion of the world. And if thou be overcome, thou shalt not be quit for losing of any of thy members, but thou shalt be shamed for ever to the world's end. And then he asked her what was a lord. And she said, the greatest lord of all the world. And so she departed suddenly that he wist not where. Chapter 7. Of the vision that Sir Percivale saw, and how his vision was expounded, and of his lion. Then came forth the other lady that rode upon the serpent, and she said, Sir Percivale, I complain me of you that ye have done unto me, and have not offended unto you. Certes, madam, he said, unto you nor no lady I never offended. Yes, said she, I shall tell you why. I have nourished in this place a great while a serpent, which served me a great while, and yesterday ye slew him as he get his prey. Say me for what cause ye slew him, for the lion was not yours. Madam, said Sir Percivale, I know well the lion was not mine, but I did it for the lion is a more gentle in nature than the serpent, and therefore I slew him. Meseemeth I did not amiss against you. Madam, said he, what would ye that I did? I would, said she, for the amends of my beast that ye become my man. And then he answered, that will I not grant you. No, said she, truly ye were never but my servants, and ye received the homage of our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, I ensure you in what place I may find you without keeping I shall take you, as he that sometime was my man. And so she departed from Sir Percivale, and left him sleeping, the which was so travailed of his vision. And on the morn he arose and blessed him, and he was passing feeble. Then was Sir Percivale ware in the sea, and saw a ship come sailing toward him. And Sir Percivale went unto the ship, and found it covered within and without with white samite. And at the board stood an old man clothed in a surplice, in likeness of a priest. Sir, said Sir Percivale, ye be welcome. God keep you, said the good man. Sir, said the old man, of whence be ye? Sir, said Sir Percivale, I am of King Arthur's court, and a knight of the Table Round, the which am in the quest of the Sangreal, and here am I in great duress, and never like to escape out of this wilderness. Doubt not, said the good man, an ye be so true a knight as the order of chivalry requireth, and of heart as ye ought to be, ye should not doubt that none enemy should slay you. What are ye? Said Sir Percivale. Sir, said the old man, I am of a strange country, and hither I come to comfort you. Sir, said Sir Percivale, what signifieth my dream that I dreamed this night? And they told him altogether. She which rode upon the lion beat kenneth the new law of Holy Church, that is to understand faith, good hope, belief, and baptism. For she seemed younger than the other, it is great reason, for she was born in the resurrection and the passion of our Lord Jesus Christ. And for great love she came to thee to warn thee of thy great battle that shall befall thee. With whom, said Sir Percivale, shall I fight? With the most champion of the world, said the old man. For as the lady said, but if thou quit thee well, thou shalt not be quit by losing of one member, but thou shalt be shamed to the world's end. And she that rode on the serpent signifieth the old law, and that serpent beat kenneth the fiend. And why she blamed thee that thou slewest the servant, it beat kenneth nothing. The serpent that thou slewest beat kenneth the devil that thou rodest upon to the rock. And when thou madest a sign of the cross, that thou slewest him, and put away his power. And when she asked thee amends and to become a man, and thou saidst thou wouldst not, that was to make thee to believe on her and leave thy baptism. So he commanded Sir Percivale to depart, And so he leapt over the board in the ship, and all went away he wist not whither. Then he went up unto the rock, and found the lion which always kept him fellowship, and he stroked him upon the back, and had great joy of him. Chapter 8. How Sir Percivale saw a ship coming to him ward, and how the lady of the ship told him of her disseritance. By that Sir Percivale had abiden there till midday, he saw a ship came rowing in the sea, as all the wind of the world had driven it. And so it drove under that rock. And when Sir Percivale saw this, he hied him thither, and found the ship covered with silk more blacker than any bay, and therein was a gentlewoman of great beauty, and she was clothed richly that none might be better. And when she saw Sir Percivale, she said, Who brought you in this wilderness where ye be never like to pass hence? For ye shall die here for hunger and mischief. Damosel, said Sir Percivale, I serve the best man of the world, and in his service he will not suffer me to die, for who that knocketh shall enter, and who that asketh shall have, and who that seeketh him he hideth him not. But then she said, Sir Percivale, wot ye what I am? Yea, said he. Now who taught you my name? Said she. Now, said Sir Percivale, I know you better than ye ween. And I came out of the waste forest where I found the red knight with the white shield, said the damosel. Ah, damosel, said he, with that knight would I meet passing fain. Sir knight, said she, and ye will ensure me by the faith that ye owe unto knighthood that ye shall do my will what time I summon you, and I shall bring you unto that knight. Yea, said he, I shall promise you to fulfill your desire. Well, said she, now shall I tell you. I saw him in the forest chasing 2 knights unto a water, the which is called Morte, and they drove him into the water for dread of death. And the 2 knights passed over, and the red knight passed after, and there his horse was drenched, and he, through great strength, escaped unto the land. Thus she told him, and Sir Percivale was passing glad thereof. Then she asked him if he had ate any meat late. Nay, madam, truly I ate no meat nigh this 3 days, but late here I spake with a good man that fed me with his good words and holy, and refreshed me greatly. Ah, Sir Knight, said she, that same man is an enchanter and a multiplier of words. For when ye believe him ye shall plainly be shamed, and die in this rock for pure hunger, and be eaten with wild beasts. And ye be a young man and a goodly knight, and I shall help you an ye will. What are ye, said Sir Percivale, that proffered me thus great kindness? I am, said she, a gentlewoman that am disserited, which was sometime the richest woman of the world. Damosel, said Sir Percivale, who hath disserited you, for I have great pity of you. Sir, said she, I dwell with the greatest man of the world, and he made me so fair and clear that there was none like me. And of that great beauty I had a little pride more than I ought to have had. Also I said a word that pleased him not. And then he would not suffer me to be any longer in his company, and so drove me from mine heritage, and so disserited me, and he had never pity of me nor of none of my council, nor of my court. And sit hen, Sir Knight, it had befallen me so, and through me and mine I have benome him many of his men, and made them to become my men. For they ask never nothing of me, but I give it them, that and much more. Thus I and all my servants were against him night and day. Therefore I know now no good knight, nor no good man, but I get them on my side and I may. And for that I know that thou art a good knight, I beseech you to help me, and for ye be a fellow of the round table. Wherefore ye ought not to fail no gentlewoman which is disserited, and she besought you of help. Chapter 9. How Sir Percivale promised her help, and how he required her of love, and how he was saved from the fiend. Then Sir Percivale promised her all the help that he might, and then she thanked him. And at that time the weather was hot. Then she called unto her a gentlewoman, and bade her bring forth a pavilion. And so she did, and pied it upon the gravel. Sir, said she, now may ye rest you in this heat of the day. Then he thanked her, and she put off his helm and his shield, and there he slept a great while. And then he awoke and asked her if she had any meat, and she said, Yea, also ye shall have enough. And so there was set enough upon the table, and thereon so much that he had marvel, for there was all manner of meats that he could think on. Also he drank there the strongest wine that ever he drank, him thought, and therewith he was a little chafed more than he ought to be. With that he beheld the gentlewoman, and him thought she was the fairest creature that ever he saw. And then Sir Percivale proffered her love, and prayed her that she would be his. Then she refused him, in a manner when he required her, for the cause he should be the more ardent on her, and ever he ceased not to pray her of love. And when she saw him well enchafed, then she said, Sir Percivale, wit you well I shall not fulfill your will, but if ye swear from henceforth ye shall be my true servant, and to do nothing but that I shall command you. Will ye ensure me this as ye be a true knight? Yea, said he, fair lady, by the faith of my body. Well, said she, now shall ye do with me whatso it please you, and now wit ye well ye are the knight in the world that I have most desired to. And then 2 squires were commanded to make a bed in midst of the pavilion, and anon she was unclothed and laid therein. And then Sir Percivale laid him down by her naked, and by adventure and grace he saw his sword lie on the ground naked, in whose pommel was a red cross and the sign of the crucifix therein, and bethought him on his knighthood and his promise made to forehand unto the good man. Then he made a sign of the cross in his forehead, and there were the pavilion turned up so down, and then it changed unto a smoke and a black cloud, and then he was adread and cried aloud. Chapter 10. How Sir Percivale for penance rove himself through the thigh, and how she was known for the devil. Fair sweet Father, Jesu Christ, any let me not be shamed, the which was nigh lost had not thy good grace been. And then he looked into a ship, and saw her enter therein, which said, Sir Percivale, ye have betrayed me. And so she went with the wind roaring and yelling, that it seemed all the water brent after her. Then Sir Percivale made great sorrow, and drew his sword unto him, saying, Sithen my flesh will be my master, I shall punish it. And therewith he rove himself through the thigh that the blood stood about him, and said, O good Lord, take this in recompensation of that I have done against thee, my Lord. So then he clothed him and armed him, and called himself a wretch, saying, How nigh was I lost, and to have lost that I should never have gotten again, that was my virginity, for that may never be recovered after it is once lost. And then he stopped his bleeding wound with a piece of his shirt. Thus as he made his moan, he saw the same ship come from Orient that the good man was in the day afore, and the noble knight was ashamed with himself, and therewith he fell in a swoon. And when he awoke, he went unto him weakly, and there he saluted this good man. And then he asked Sir Percivale, How hast thou done since I departed? Sir, said he was a gentlewoman and led me into deadly sin. And they told him altogether. Knew ye not the maid? Said the good man. Sir, said he, nay, but well I what the fiend sent her hither to shame me. O good knight, said he, thou art a fool, for that gentlewoman was a master fiend of hell, the which had power above all devils, and that was the old lady that thou sawest in thine vision riding on the serpent. Then he told Sir Percivale how our Lord Jesu Christ beat him out of heaven for his sin, the which was the most brightest angel of heaven, and therefore he lost his heritage. And that was a champion that thou foughtest withal, the which had overcome thee had not the grace of God been. Now beware, Sir Percivale, and take this for an ensample. And then the good man vanished away. Then Sir Percivale took his arms, and entered into the ship, and so departed from thence. Here endeth the 14th book, which is of Sir Percivale. And here followeth of Sir Lancelot, which is the 15th book. Book 15. Chapter 1. How Sir Lancelot came to a chapel, where he found dead, in a white shirt, a man of religion, of 100 winter old. When the hermit had kept Sir Lancelot 3 days, the hermit get him an horse, an helm, and a sword. And then he departed about the hour of noon. And then he saw a little house. And when he came near, he saw a chapel, and there beside he saw an old man that was clothed all in white full richly. And then Sir Lancelot said, God save you, God keep you, said the good man, and make you a good knight. Then Sir Lancelot alighted and entered into the chapel, and there he saw an old man dead, in a white shirt of passing fine cloth. Sir, said the good man, this man that is dead ought not to be in such clothing as ye see him in, for in that he brake the oath of his order, for he had been more than 100 winter a man of a religion. And then the good man and Sir Lancelot went into the chapel, and the good man took a stole about his neck, and a book, and then he conjured on that book, and with that they saw an hideous figure and horrible, that there was no man so hard-hearted nor so hard but he should have been afeard. Then said the fiend, Thou hast travailed me greatly. Now tell me what thou wilt with me. I will, said the good man, that thou tell me how my fellow became dead, and whether he be saved or damned. Then he said with an horrible voice, He is not lost but saved. How may that be? Said the good man, It seemed to me that he lived not well, for he brake his order for to wear a shirt where he ought to wear none, and who that trespasseth against our order doth not well. Not so, said the fiend. This man that lieth here dead was come of a great lineage. And there was a lord that hight the Earl de Vale, that held great war against this man's nephew, the which hight Agwarus. And so this Agwarus saw the Earl was bigger than he. Then he went for to take counsel of his uncle, the which lieth here dead as ye may see. And then he asked leave, and went out of his hermitage for to maintain his nephew against the mighty Earl. And so it happed that this man that lieth here dead did so much by his wisdom and hardiness that the Earl was taken, and 3 of his lords, by force of this dead man. Chapter 2. Of a dead man. How men would have hewn him, and it would not be, and how Sir Lancelot took the hair of the dead man. Then was there peace betwixt the Earl and this Agwarus, and great surety that the Earl should never war against him. Then this dead man that here lieth came to this hermitage again, and then the Earl made 2 of his nephews for to be avenged upon this man. So they came on a day, and found this dead man at the saccharing of his mass, and they abode him till he had said mass. And then they set upon him, and drew out swords to have slain him. But there would no sword bite on him more than upon a gad of steel, for the high lord which he served he him preserved. Then made they a great fire, and did off all his clothes, and the hair off his back. And then this dead man hermit said unto them, Ween you to burn me? It shall not lie in your power nor to perish me as much as a thread, and there were any on my body. No? Said one of them, It shall be assayed. And then they despoiled him, and put upon him the shirt, and cast him in a fire, and they lay all that night till it was day in that fire, and was not dead. And so in the morn I came and found him dead, but I found neither thread nor skin tamed, and so took him out of the fire with great fear, and laid him here as ye may see. And now may ye suffer me to go my way, for I have said you the sooth. And then he departed with a great tempest. Then was the good man and Sir Lancelot more gladder than they were tofore. And then Sir Lancelot dwelled with that good man that night. Sir, said the good man, be ye not Sir Lancelot du Lake? Yea, sir, said he, what seek ye in this country? Sir, said Sir Lancelot, I go to seek the adventures of the Sangreal. Well, said he, seek it ye may well, but though it were here ye shall have no power to see it no more than a blind man should see a bright sword, and that is long on your sin, and else ye were more able than any man living. And then Sir Lancelot began to weep. Then said the good man, Where ye confessed that he entered into the quest of the Sangreal? Yea. So, said Sir Lancelot. Then upon the morn when the good man had sung his mass, then they buried the dead man. Then Sir Lancelot said, Father, what shall I do? Now, said the good man, I require you take this hair that was this holy man's, and put it next thy skin, and it shall prevail thee greatly. Sir, and I will do it, said Sir Lancelot. Also I charge you that ye eat no flesh as long as ye be in the quest of the Sangreal, nor ye shall drink no wine, and that ye hear mass daily, and ye may do it. So he took the hair and put it upon him, and so departed at evensong time. And so rode he into a forest, and there he met with a gentlewoman riding upon a white palfrey. And then she asked him, Sir knight, whither ride ye? Certes, damosel, said Lancelot, I wot not whither I ride, but as fortune leadeth me. Ah, Sir Lancelot, said she, I wot what adventure ye seek, for you were aforetime nearer than ye be now, and yet shall ye see it more openly than ever ye did, and that shall ye understand in short time. Then Sir Lancelot asked her where he might be harboured that night. Ye shall not find this day nor night, but to morn ye shall find harbour good, and ease of that ye be in doubt of. And then he commended her unto God. Then he rode till that he came to a cross, and took that for his hostess for that night. Chapter 3. Of an vision that Sir Lancelot had, and how he told it to an hermit, and desired counsel of him. And so he put his horse to pasture, and did off his helm and his shield, and made his prayers unto the cross that he never fall in deadly sin again. And so he laid him down to sleep. And anon as he was asleep, it befell him there in a vision, that there came a man afore him all by compass of stars, and that man had a crown of gold on his head, and that man led in his fellowship 7 kings and 2 knights. And all these worshipped the cross, kneeling upon their knees, holding up their hands toward the heaven. And all they said, Fair sweet Father of heaven, come and visit us, and yield unto us everych as we have deserved. Then looked Lancelot up to the heaven, and him seemed the clouds did open, and an old man came down, with a company of angels, and alighted among them, and gave unto everych his blessing, and called them his servants, and good and true knights. And when this old man had said thus, he came to one of those knights, and said, I have lost all that I have said in thee, for thou hast ruled thee against me as a warrior, and used wrong wars with vainglory, more for the pleasure of the world than to please me. Therefore thou shalt be confounded without thou yield me my treasure. All this at vision saw Sir Lancelot at the cross. And on the morn he took his horse and rode till midday, and there by adventure he met with the same knight that took his horse, helm, and his sword, when he slept when the Sangreal appeared afore the cross. When Sir Lancelot saw him, he saluted him not fair, but cried on high, Knight, keep thee, for thou hast done to me great unkindness. And then they put afore them their spears, and Sir Lancelot came so fiercely upon him that he smote him and his horse down to the earth, that he had nigh broken his neck. Then Sir Lancelot took the knight's horse that was his own aforehand, and descended from the horse he sat upon, and mounted upon his own horse, and tied the knight's own horse to a tree, that he might find that horse when that he was arisen. Then Sir Lancelot rode till night, and by adventure he met an hermit, and each of them saluted other. And there he rested with that good man all night, and gave his horse such as he might get. Then said the good man unto Lancelot, Of whence be ye? Sir, said he, I am of Arthur's court, and my name is Lancelot du Lake, that I am in the quest of the Sangreal, and therefore I pray you to counsel me of a vision the which I had at the cross. And so he told him all. Chapter 4. How the hermit expounded to Sir Lancelot his vision, and told him that Sir Galahad was his son. Lo, Sir Lancelot, said the good man, that thou mightest understand the high lineage that thou art come of, and thine vision be, O Kenneth. After the passion of Jesu Christ 40 year, Joseph of Arimathea preached the victory of King Evelake, that he had in the battles the better of his enemies. And of the 7 kings and the 2 knights, the first of them is called Napus, an holy man, and the second Hight Nation, in remembrance of his grandsire, and in him dwelled our Lord Jesu Christ. And the third was called Hilias le Gros, and the 4th Hight Lysias, and the 5th Hight Jonas. He departed out of his country and went into Wales, and took there the daughter of Manuel, whereby he had the land of Gaul, and he came to dwell in this country. And of him came King Lancelot thy grandsire, the which there wedded the king's daughter of Ireland, and he was as worthy a man as thou art. And of him came King Ban, thy father, the which was the last of the 7 kings. And by thee, Sir Lancelot, it signified that the angel said thou were none of the 7 fellowships. And the last was the 9th knight. He was signified to a lion, for he should pass all manner of earthly knights. There is a Galahad, the which thou get on King Pel's daughter. And thou ought to thank God more than any other man living. For of a sinner earthly thou hast no peers in knighthood, nor never shall be. But little thank hast thou given to God for all the great virtues that God hath lent thee. Sir, said Lancelot, ye say that that good knight is my son. That oughtest thou to know and no man better, said the good man. For thou knewest the daughter of King Pel's fleshly, and on her thou begattest Galahad, and that was he that at the feast of Pentecost set in the siege perilous. And therefore make thou it known openly that he is one of thy begetting on King Pel's daughter, for that will be your worship and honour, and to all thy kindred. And I counsel you in no place press not upon him to have ado with him. Well, said Lancelot, meseemeth that good knight should pray for me unto the High Father, that I fall not to sin again. Trust thou well, said the good man, thou farest mickle the better for his prayer. But the son shall not bear the wickedness of the father, nor the father shall not bear the wickedness of the son, but every shall bear his own burden. And therefore beseek thou only God, and he will help thee in all thy needs. And then Sir Lancelot, and he went to supper, and so laid him to rest. And the hair pricked so Sir Lancelot's skin, which grieved him full sore. But he took it meekly, and suffered the pain. And so on the morn he heard his mass, and took his arms, and so took his leave. Chapter 5. How Sir Lancelot jousted with many knights, and how he was taken. And then mounted upon his horse, and rode into a forest, and held no highway. And as he looked afore him, he saw a fair plain, and beside it a fair castle. And afore the castle were many pavilions of silk and of divers hue. And him seemed that he saw there 500 knights riding on horseback, and there were 2 parties. they that were of the castle were all on black horses and their trappings black, and they that were without were all on white horses and trappings, and every hurtled to other that it marvelled Sir Lancelot. And at the last him thought they of the castle were put to the worse. Then thought Sir Lancelot for to help their the weaker party in increasing of his chivalry. And so Sir Lancelot thrust in among the party of the castle, and smote down a knight, horse and man, to the earth. And then he rashed here and there, and did marvellous deeds of arms. And then he drew out his sword, and struck many knights to the earth, so that all those that saw him marvelled that ever one knight might do so great deeds of arms. But always the white knights held them nigh about Sir Lancelot, for to tire him and wind him. But at the last, as a man may not ever endure, Sir Lancelot waxed so faint of fighting and travailing, and was so weary of his great deeds, but he might not lift up his arms to give one stroke, so that he weened never to have borne arms. And then they all took and led him away into a forest, and they made him to alight and to rest him. And then all the fellowship of the castle were overcome for the default of him. Then they said all unto Sir Lancelot, Blessed be God that ye be now of our fellowship, for we shall hold you in our prison. And so they left him with few words. And then Sir Lancelot made great sorrow, for never or now was I never at tournament nor joust, but I had the best, and now I am shamed. And then he said, Now I am sure that I am more sinfuller than ever I was. Thus he rode sorrowing, and half a day he was out of despair, till that he came into a deep valley. And when Sir Lancelot, so he might not ride up into the mountain, he there alighted under an apple tree, and there he left his helm and his shield, and put his horse unto pasture. And then he laid him down to sleep. And then him thought there came an old man afore him, the which said, Ah, Lancelot of evil faith and poor belief, wherefore is thou wilt turn so lightly toward thy deadly sin? And when he had said thus, he vanished away, and Lancelot wist not where he was become. Then he took his horse, and armed him, and as he rode by the way, he saw a chapel where was a recluse, which had a window that she might see up to the altar. And all aloud she called Lancelot, for that he seemed a knight errant. And then he came, and she asked him what he was, and of what place, and whereabout he went to seek. Chapter 6. How Sir Lancelot told his vision to a woman, and how she expounded it to him. And then he told her altogether word by word, and the truth how it befell him at the tournament. And after told her his vision that he had had that night in his sleep, and prayed her to tell him what it might mean, for he was not well content with it. Ay, Lancelot, said she, as long as you were knight of earthly knighthood, you were the most marvellous man of the world, and most adventurous. Now, said the lady, sit hen ye be set among the knights of heavenly adventures. If adventure fell thee contrary at that tournament, have thou no marvel, for that tournament yesterday was but a tokening of our Lord. And not for then there was none enchantment, for they at the tournament were earthly knights. The tournament was a token to see who should have most knights, either Eleazar, the son of King Pelles, or Augustus, the son of King Harlan. But Eleazar was all clothed in white, and Augustus was covered in black, the which were come. All what this betokenneth I shall tell you. The day of Pentecost, when King Arthur held his court, it befell that earthly kings and knights took a tournament together, that is to say, the quest of the sangreal. The earthly knights were they which were clothed all in black, and the covering betokenneth the sins whereof they be not confessed. And they were the covering of white betokenneth virginity, and they that chose chastity. And thus was the quest begun in them. Then thou beheld the sinners and the good men, and when thou sawest the sinners overcome, thou inclinest to that party for bowborns and pride of the world, and all that must be left in that quest. For in this quest thou shalt have many fellows and thy betters. For thou art so feeble of evil trust and good belief. This made it when thou were there where they took thee and led thee into the forest. And anon there appeared the sangreal unto the white knights, but thou wast so feeble of good belief and faith that thou mightest not abide it for all the teaching of the good man. But anon thou turnest to the sinners, and that caused thy misadventure that thou shouldst esteem no good from evil and vain glory of the world, the which is not worth a pay. And for great pride thou madest great sorrow that thou hadst not overcome all the white knights with the covering of white, by whom was betokened virginity and chastity. And therefore God was wroth with you, for God loveth no such deeds in this quest. And this vision signifieth that thou were of evil faith and of poor belief, the which will make thee to fall into the deep pit of hell if thou keep thee not. Now have I warned thee of thy vain glory and of thy pride, that thou hast many times erred against thy Maker. Beware of everlasting pain. For of all earthly knights I have most pity of thee, for I know well thou hast not thy peer of any earthly sinful man. And so she commended Sir Lancelot to dinner. And after dinner he took his horse and commended her to God, and so rode into a deep valley. And they saw a river and an high mountain. And through the water he must needs pass, the which was hideous. And then in the name of God he took it with good heart. And when he came over he saw an armed knight, horse and men black as any bear. Without any word he smote Sir Lancelot's horse to the earth, and so he passed on. He wist not where he was become. And then he took his helm and his shield, and thanked God of his adventure.